U.S. House votes in favor of forcing Justice Department to release Epstein files. The U.S. House of Representatives has just taken a move that many people thought would never happen, and it's already sending shockwaves through Washington, Hollywood, and even certain foreign capitals. For years, the Jeffrey Epstein files have been at the center of conspiracy theories, political debates, and unanswered questions. And now, with this new vote, the House is officially demanding that the Justice Department release the full set of Epstein documents to the public. That means names, communications, connections, flight logs, everything. If this actually goes through, it could become one of the biggest public disclosures in U.S. political history. Let's break down exactly what just happened, why the vote matters, and what it could mean for some very powerful people who thought this chapter was buried forever. First, this vote wasn't symbolic. The House voted in favor of forcing the Justice Department to hand over the full, unredacted Epstein files. And that word unredacted is where the entire political world started paying attention. Because for years, any little bit of information the public received was heavily censored, black boxes everywhere, names removed, dates missing. Now, the House wants it all exposed, without a single name covered. That is huge. This vote also had something unusual: bipartisan support. In today's political climate, where Democrats and Republicans barely agree on the time of day, the fact that both sides backed this move tells you something important. It shows that the pressure to release the files has grown far beyond any one political party. It's now a matter of accountability, transparency, and public trust. And let's be honest, many members of Congress are tired of being accused of protecting powerful elites. This vote gives them a chance to say, look, we're not hiding anything. But while many Americans are cheering, others in Washington are suddenly very nervous. Because the Epstein case has always been the kind of story that crosses political lines. Billionaires, celebrities, politicians, CEOs, diplomats. Epstein's network was massive. And with this vote, the question isn't whether someone important will be exposed. The question is how many. The Justice Department now faces a countdown. They have to respond to the House's demand, and if they refuse or delay, things could escalate fast. Congress has tools to enforce its demands, including subpoenas and contempt actions. And the pressure from the public is only growing. For years, people have wanted the truth. They've wanted closure, clarity, answers. Who knew what? Who was involved? Who enabled Epstein's operations? And who visited that island, that townhouse, that ranch? The answers are likely in those documents. One interesting part of this story is why this vote happened now. Congress has faced pressure before, but this time the support was overwhelming. The driving force seems to be a mix of increased public scrutiny, rising demands for government transparency, and recent interviews and sworn statements connected to the case. Certain details that leaked earlier this year reignited interest in the story, especially mentions of big-name individuals whose possible involvement had never been seriously investigated publicly. The vote might also be a way for members of Congress to get ahead of the story. In politics, it's always better to appear proactive than reactive. If these documents are coming out eventually, whether through whistleblowers, court orders, or investigative reporting, Congress wants to be the one to say, we released them. Another angle that's getting attention is how the release of these files could influence U.S. politics, not just now but for years. Imagine the impact if the documents reveal wrongdoing from individuals in high positions: lawmakers, governors, ambassadors, maybe even former officials. This isn't just a legal issue, it could become a political earthquake. It could reshape party strategies, election messaging, and public trust in institutions. Even people not connected to Epstein might be indirectly affected if their allies, donors, or political mentors show up in those files. But beyond politics, there's the bigger question: what does justice look like? Epstein died before he could face trial. Many of his victims still feel unheard, ignored, and dismissed. The release of these files could be the closest thing many of them get to a public acknowledgement of what they endured. For some survivors, seeing the names and evidence finally laid out in full could bring a sense of validation after decades of being doubted. Still, there's resistance. Officials within the Justice Department have previously expressed concerns that releasing the files could threaten national security, disrupt ongoing investigations, or violate privacy laws. But critics argue that those excuses have been used far too often and that transparency should come first, especially in a case involving such widespread abuse and such high-profile individuals. Right now, the country is watching closely. Media outlets, legal analysts, political commentators, they're all waiting for the DOJ's response. Social media is blowing up with theories, predictions, and demands that the files be released immediately. And honestly, the pressure isn't slowing down. If anything, this vote has multiplied it. The next steps are straightforward but extremely high stakes. The Justice Department must announce whether they will comply, partially comply, or fight the order. If they resist, Congress could escalate the situation into a major legal showdown. If they comply, the public might soon have access to information that could change the narrative of one of the biggest scandals in recent history. Whatever happens, the one thing that's clear is this: the Epstein story is far from over. And with this vote, we may finally be closer than ever to knowing the full truth. No redactions, no black bars, no political protection. Just the facts, out in the open where they always should have been.